I hope that you will gain a lot of useful information this morning. We are very beholden to our speakers, but I'd also like to again thank our hosts this morning, Northwest Kentucky Forward and the Henderson County Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to do a presentation to start off this morning about the final report from Governor Beshear's Executive Task Force on Biofuels and Biomass Development in Kentucky. And before I begin speaking about the final report, I think it's important to give you a little background on how the task force came to be and what got us to the point of the final report. Governor Beshear's energy plan, Intelligent Energy Choices for Kentucky's Future, Kentucky's 7-point strategy for energy independence, is the foundation for the work I'm going to share with you today. And I would like to begin by giving you some comments from the executive summary of that document. Energy independence is obviously a challenge for both the Commonwealth and the nation. This challenge is made more urgent and complex by issues such as global climate change and our current economic recession. For a major coal-producing state that relies on fossil resources for more than 90% of its energy needs, this is even more daunting task. For Kentucky to be a national leader, we must develop our energy resources in a sustainable manner. The overall goal of the 7-point strategy is to restructure the Commonwealth's energy portfolio in such a way to use it as a tool for sustainable economic development.
As we start talking about bioenergy and bioenergy development, or energy in general, energy is a very complicated subject, especially a complicated subject for Kentucky. In order to approach that and to try to figure out how to resolve some of these questions about how are we going to be powered in the future, where are we going to get our electricity in the future, how are we going to fuel our vehicles, how are we going to power our industries in the future, what's the cost relationship? Well, it's not something that you can cross your fingers on and say, it'll work out, the markets will drive it, keep your fingers crossed. They can have some terrific impacts. So the vision of the governor, combined with Secretary Peters, says, you know what we need to do? We need to develop a strategic plan for energy development in Kentucky. Let's get this stuff out there and let's start talking about it. Let's go across the state and let's see people. And let's start to try to understand. So in November of 2008, the governor rolled out a strategic energy plan, Intelligent Energy Choices for Kentucky's Future. It's a 7-point strategy. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but it's something that we do need to cover.
Watching this biomass revolution, I think you've seen this one. Frank talked quite a bit about the Federal Renewable Fuels Standard, which I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on since you're already pretty well schooled on that topic. This is something that has been enacted by Congress. It's actually been updated. We're now on the Renewable Fuels Standard 2. The second piece, which is what I'm going to be focusing on, is the National Renewable Portfolio Standard. This has not yet been enacted in the United States, and we do not have one in Kentucky. It's simply under discussion. Quickly, standards are basically mandates. Just want to make that clear. We use the term standard, portfolio standard, renewable fuel standard, but they are essentially mandates. They are set by law, and they basically say you will meet a certain percentage of electricity with renewables, or you will blend a certain quantity of renewable fuel in with our gasoline and our diesel. Before I get into what exactly or how portfolio standards work, I want to talk a little bit about what a portfolio is. And some of you that work in the energy field are probably very familiar with what our portfolio looks like in Kentucky and the U.S., but these are two pie charts. One is the United States. The other represents Kentucky. This is a snapshot of our portfolio standard in 2008. Portfolios vary, obviously, from year to year, moment to moment, probably, too. And so here in the United States, you can see that we get about 48% of our electricity from coal, and then we get around 20% each from nuclear and natural gas. We're getting about 8% from renewables, although that's ticked up a bit in 2009 because of the wind industry and the capacity that they're adding in the United States, and I'll get into that. And then petroleum, approximately 1%. In Kentucky, the picture is quite a bit different. We get about 98% of our electricity from fossil fuels, predominantly coal. 94% of our electricity in Kentucky in 2008 came from coal policy, and that's going to continue to drum up support for this type of policy.